Welcome, you're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. Almost a year ago, the government adopted the concept of electronic democracy in Ukraine. According to the document, the legislative framework for practical implementation of electronic democracy should be created by 2020. So what has Ukraine achieved so far and what still needs to be done? To talk more about this, we're joined in the studio today by Viktor Lyakh. He is the president of East Europe Foundation. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody.
So first of all, let's clarify what exactly e-democracy is and what is the difference between e-democracy and regular democracy?
That's a very good question. E-democracy is a form of government where people and citizens can exercise their rights and freedoms via modern technologies, ICT technologies. And this concept is quite new for Ukraine, but this is a very dynamic sphere of involvement and engagement of citizens through ICT to all decision-making processes which are happening in the government and in the country as a whole.
This concept could be new for Ukraine, but it surely is not new for the rest of the world and for the European community per se. What are the countries that are already actively using e-democracy and what are the effects of such a concept?
Definitely, e-democracy is dynamically grows in a number of countries, and luckily we have wonderful examples to follow or to adopt best practices. Probably most known country is Estonia, which are our neighbor and good partner for Ukraine. And from Estonian experience, we are adopting a number of different kind of practices in e-governance and e-democracy. Mainly why people mention e-democracy, probably the first which comes to my mind at least was that e-election. I can vote for somebody through my smartphone or via internet. But it's definitely a much wider topic and much wider tool that people can use e-democracy tools for signing e-petitions, for example. Or
what kind of benefits does e-democracy offer to ordinary people, to regular Ukrainian citizens?
First of all, this is much easier tool for citizens to be heard and to make sure that they're included in the process of decision-making in the government, or they can address certain issue to government, local or national-wide. They also can comment draft laws, for example, which is now this option is available in the website of Verkhovna Rada. So mainly the concept says that as well as we call it traditional offline democracy, online democracy also can ease and make the process of communication with government much easier through ICT technologies.
How active are Ukrainian citizens in using these e-democracy tools? I mean, is there any data of how many draft laws have been registered on the Verkhovna Rada site?
Surprisingly, Ukrainians are taking well the concept. Probably because of knowledge level and education level is quite high among Ukrainians. Ukrainians quite actively adopting the modern way of communication with the government. And according to at least estimation of experts, we have about 1 million of people who are using different kind of e-democracy tools now. And we are striving to double it in 3 years. Again, main tools of e-democracy are e-petitions, e-consultations, feedback to one on another action of the government, as well as e-appeals. Now it's all available for Ukrainians. We also have significant progress in opening data of government. The concept,
how does the government feel about it?
Wow.
Was there any feedback?
Actually, I need to say that we have wonderful and good legislation which demands from local and national authorities to upload data in machine-readable format. It means that you do not need to special request government to provide you data on one or another issue. They're available on their websites. It means that every data which government possess, if they are not a topic for security reasons, they should be uploaded and available for citizens. And what does it give to citizens? Mainly, data produces more economic opportunities for business. Open data makes government work more efficient. And also it creates a social network and strengthens social networks. So people kind of on citizen to citizen level, they can more closely cooperate and work together for promoting their rights and exercise their freedoms.
And what are the main difficulties in this whole process that Ukrainian citizens or Ukrainian government might be coming across?
First of all, from the one hand, we have globalization, which gives us immediate access to experience of all countries, and we can easily adopt one another good practice from other countries in a democracy. From another hand, we have some limitations in mindset and probably in the kind of way and positive practical results, how people kind of voting for one another petition, they can see difference they made in their own community. And probably it takes time to get this kind of sense and practice and knowledge and experience of using e-democracy tools. One of the very modern tool which Ukraine adopts is participatory budget. This is a quite new concept that government, local or city, for example, government, allocates a certain percentage of their budget or a certain amount of money to support any projects for development, for city growth, or for city development under one condition. People would need to vote for this. So citizens would need to vote. They can suggest and they can get funding from city for their own projects. It could be playground for kids or shelter for pets or any other activities related to civil society, education, economic growth, and social development, etc.
That is a great initiative, actually.
This is a great initiative. It's very popular in Kiev. Now, about 100 cities are using this technique. There are several web-based platforms. You can not just to vote for one particular project, but also to track, to ask questions to the initiator of the project, or to, let's say, monitor implementation of the project. Ukraine is already on the third cycle of piloting this initiative, and it goes really well. It gives the citizens sense that they are part of the community and they have a voice which can make a difference. And
what about the citizens that do not have access to the internet? Because there are places in Ukraine where people live without internet, but still want to be active members of their community. What could you recommend for those Ukrainians?
Definitely online democracy or e-democracy doesn't mean that it's only online. Online usually goes with offline, and these two work perfectly well together. And definitely we just need to make sure that all citizens, they have equal access to democracy tools and mechanisms. There are several opportunities for those who live in remote areas without access to internet. Internet coverage is pretty well in Ukraine through mobile internet, GPRS, etc. It means that there are several types of models for providing access for these people who live in rural areas, for example, remote areas. They can access to internet through their village councils or asking their local authorities to provide them with internet access. This is available. These technical solutions are available in Ukraine. There are also opportunities for getting into touchscreen and to work through touchscreen if one another citizen doesn't have either computer or smartphone. This is also available. But at the moment, at least my foundation works to provide access to to internet to those people who do not have it.
And to sum it all up, would you like to share a particular project you are proud of that has been implemented since the day e-democracy started initiating in Ukraine?
I have a wonderful example how people initiated changes locally, and these changes went to national level. Probably you know that electronic tickets now available in several cities of Ukraine. We are piloting this initiative, but just need to say that 2 years ago, 2 cities voted through a petition for introducing e-tickets in their cities. These are Lviv and Dnipro. Although this is not a responsibility for city level. So city administration sent this request to Ministry of Infrastructure. Ministry of Infrastructure prepared relative legislative background, and now we can enjoy electronic ticket in number of cities. So these changes were brought from very local level to national level and provided changes. Another good example is e-petitions to Verkhovna Rada, where 4 petitions already reached the threshold of 25,000 votes, and 1 petition became a law. So we have these changes, and these changes real, and every Ukrainian can vote for these changes now. Additional, quite new mechanism we have is that every citizen can comment draft laws in the parliament, which is absolutely new, not only in Ukraine, but in many other countries.
It's good. It's good to know that Ukrainians are staying active and stay together and work for one aim of making Ukraine prosper and be great. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this information with us. That was Viktor Lyakh. He's the president of East Europe Foundation. Thank you so much for watching UATV. Stay tuned for more.